And welcome once again to Your Retirement with Insurance 365. Jeffrey Steffen back in the saddle after taking an entire month off, ladies and gentlemen. On the left, that's Angela Cradaville. On the right, that's Jay Kenobi. Welcome, gang.
Hello
back.
there.
And you guys survived last month without me.
We did. It was tough, but Billy did an excellent job since you decided to take a month off.
I took a whole month off.
You realize the importance of a job when you can take a month off, huh, Jeffrey?
Yeah, it was good, though, because I was somewhere warm, and actually wasn't gone a full month, but I sure wish I could have been. Because I think as soon as I got back, it got really, really cold here. It's been really a wacky winter. And by the way, this is the first weekend of spring. Spring arrives on Sunday. The equinox actually happens about 10:33 in the morning. And, hopefully we have some rain coming up next week here. There's rain in the forecast, and that's a good thing. We really, 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 really need that. So what we do here is talk about your retirement. And if you're within 10 years of retirement, there are decisions to be made. That is a time where you really got to dial in on what's going on. And Jay, we always talk about communication, don't we?
Absolutely.
So let's start there. Have you communicated to your spouse? Has your spouse communicated to you what's going to happen upon the first death? And that's kind of the theme of how we're going to open the show here, Jay.
Yeah, so let's talk about, when you are in retirement or close to it, you've probably purchased life insurance. You've probably purchased long-term care or have looked into it. You probably have some investments, some annuities, those type of things, disability policies, some CDs, money markets. You have multiple things.
Yeah.
Even sometimes you still are waiting for inheritance. I have people that are 65 saying, my mom is going to give us this.
Oh, boy.
And yeah. And so the communication at this time is so important to get these things in line. And here's the question I ask people is, what happens upon one death?
Okay.
And they say, well, what do you mean? I said, well, okay, let's take the simplest one. Let's take Social Security. What happens to your guaranteed income right now? You have two buckets of income. What happens upon the death of one of you? And they say, well, I don't know. And that's what we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to that life insurance policy that the husband has? Is he expecting the wife to just call up the guy and say, hey, bring me my money? Or is there a plan in place? And I've yet to meet a person who said, I have a plan in place.
Has a plan for that.
I mean, the husband will walk around and say $100,000 whole life policy or $200,000 term policy. And I'll say, so what's this for? Whatever she wants. And then she gets that uncomfortable look.
Yeah. So what are some things here? I don't want to get off the road here, but what are some things that you could do with that?
Well, we can't reveal them all right on the radio show.
No, but okay. Tell me something that you wouldn't do with it. Let's go that route.
Well, one of the things I see a lot of is reinvested in another life insurance policy. That's kind of an old, we brought this policy, now let's buy a bigger one on mom. And you ignored long-term care.
Yeah.
You ignored the inheritance tax breaks that you can give by just giving to your children.
Right.
You ignored the possibility of mom living into her 90s. So do we need an income stream?
And more people are doing that these days.
Yeah.
We're in a generation now that has lived a little healthier. You always say, today's 40 is, today's 60 is yesterday's 40 and vice versa.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that. The average life expectancy just continues to go up and up and up in America.
It does. And you have to, it's just that awkward conversation, Jeffrey, in a nutshell, is what happens upon the first death. What happens to so many things. People they never talk about that one.
Why is it that people don't talk about them? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think, for one, when they meet with someone like myself or Angela, you're a little bit vulnerable. You are talking about your death, and you're talking about maybe you don't have enough money to fund what you would like. You also are a little afraid to buy because you know it's probably going to take a resource to purchase to get where you want to be.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of things, but I think the other thing is just uncertainty. Like in our office, for example, I met with people this week that just said, Jay, I don't know if you can help me with this or not. It was like, oh, I do this like every hour. But
right.
they came in really not knowing if I could help them.
Yeah.
So I think maybe our branding hasn't been good enough. Maybe our awareness to consumers hasn't been good enough. And I think that's part of the case, too.
However, they are walking through your door, though, and they are seeking the help. So I think, in a nutshell, deep down, they're hoping that you can, and you probably can, but they preface the conversation like that because maybe they're just a little embarrassed about the situation. That could be a part of it, too. But be that as it may, have those conversations too. And it comes back to how we started the show. If you're within 10 years or so of your retirement, if you can see horizon, if you can see light at the end of the tunnel where retirement is there, ask these questions. What's it going to take? How do you want to live? Like, how are you living right now? And what kind of an income is that taking? Mm-hmm. And then how can you get to the point where I can retire and still have that same revenue stream here? I mean, isn't that where everybody wants to be?
It is. And, Angela can allude to the long-term care. It doesn't get cheaper, the premiums.
No, they don't.
So
the closer you get to retirement, absolutely.
Yeah, and even if you have a policy, Angela, they go up. They tend to take off on people.
They do, and Medicare doesn't pay for long-term care. I had somebody in my office this week, and they're like, well, Medicare will pay for that. Yeah. So get educated.
Okay. So long-term care, is it what is that magic number where you should be looking into this? I've always heard it's around 50. Jay?
It is very personal to your situation. I have had people in their 40s purchase it. I've had people in their 80s.
Okay.
And here's what it really boils down to.
And the premium is a lot different for a 40-year-old compared to an 80-year-old.
It is, but when you're younger, what I hear a lot is, can I have a policy that I can pay so many years and stop? So if you're 50, a lot of times I'll hear, hey, I'm going to work another 15, 20 years. Can I pay a premium and walk away and keep the contract? So like they call that a paid up long-term care policy. That's popular if you're in your 50s, early 60s,
right.
Because there's policies that you pay the premium for 10 years and then it's guaranteed for the life of you and your wife. Mm-hmm. Some are 20-year. So that's popular. Now, when you get older, and I see a lot of people do this, they say, well, I've waited, now I'm 65. I waited till 67. So they kind of have this, I really don't think I have a need today. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to wait till I'm like 73, 74. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with whatever you're okay with. I will show it. Okay, if you're 65, the premium is $3,000. If you wait till 74, the premium is going to be $7,000.
Yeah.
And then what I do is I say, okay, let's take 78 as the average claim, Jeffrey. Okay, so remember that.
All right.
So I take 78 minus your age times your premium. What is the total amount you would have gave the company at 65 to 78 versus 73 to 78? You take the averages because everybody has to look at averages.
Yeah.
But in terms of people buying it, what makes people buy or not buy long-term care? It's all emotion or what happened in their personal life.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the number of people, and I'll give you the example here of a cancer policy. Jeffrey, when people come to me and say, I have a cancer policy, I don't even have to ask. I know they have cancer in their family. It's an emotional buy.
Yeah.
Long-term care is the same way. If your brother, Jeffrey, is in a facility, you're going to buy long-term care because you're seeing your brother. You're going to see him once a month. You're driving to Bloomfield to see him, and you're buying long-term care. So long-term care, as much as you can meet with an agent like myself, there's no sales pitch. You know whether you're purchasing it or not based on your personal
experience.
Yeah.
Your experiences.
It's
absolutely.
all personal.
All right. This is Your Retirement with Insurance 365. Angela Cradaville is here, and she's going to get her moment in the sun here coming up in the second half of the show here. We're going to talk about CDs and money markets. Ow! And, the current market conditions and how that all looks here. And don't forget, if you ever miss an episode here, we load these up on your website, Jay, right?
Yes, we do.
Try to get those caught up as soon as we can here. So if you ever miss a show, we do this on the third Saturday of the month here at about 7:35 on News Talk WJAG. Hang on, we're coming back with part 2 next. And welcome back. Part 2 of our March edition of Your Retirement with Insurance 365. My name is Jeffrey O'Steffen. I'm wearing my green today. Did you see that? I know I'm a little late on
You're
that.
a day
but
late.
I didn't wear green on St. Patrick's Day because I woke up that morning, I got dressed, and then I started reading, going over material, and then I realized it was St. Patrick's Day, and I looked at myself and went, oh, I didn't put any green on.
Well, Jeffrey,
And I just decided to just go as I was dressed because when you get to be my age, you want to cut down on the amount of bending over you have to do in the morning. So I just...
you know it's not St. Patty's Day yesterday. It was St. Peter's Day because they beat Kentucky.
Yeah, no kidding. It's St. Peter's Day everywhere now. Woo! Man, how about that? That's pretty cool. All right, so the current market conditions, Jay, and we were having a very animated discussion off the air about what's going on in the world right now. It is affecting everything, including your retirement, isn't it, Angela?
It is.
It's hard to make any money with a bank right now. CDs, money markets, things like that.
Right. Yeah, you're looking at 1% or lower for...
And let's face it, it's been that way for quite some time, but now it's, it's just, it's getting worse, and you really have to pay attention to the markets in the world. So what is the answer for someone who is approaching retirement here?
Well, the answer is you have to have the discipline to admit 1% is unacceptable. 1% is just...
Yeah.
There's better things.
What is the
point?
point?
And
Yeah.
so you have to call someone like our office and say, can I sit down and talk to you?
Yeah.
And I don't care if you have 5,000 or 100,000 or 500,000, but getting 1% and paying taxes on it in a time when inflation is, I mean, let's be honest, this has been this way in the banks for 10 years.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, and who's winning?
Yeah.
I mean, the consumers are not winning
Well,
by,
we're not, yeah.
and they sit there and to have this money in there, and it's growing at what rate? Is there an objective? Is there a plan?
I remember complaining when it was 3% and 4%.
Yeah. People would do headstands today for that.
Yeah, they would.
And so, it's one of those things you just ask people like, why are you not seeking out an alternative? And what is the alternative? There's a couple of them. We're not going to go into great detail on the air on every alternative, but make the phone call to the office, say, I want to talk about it and see what it is, and get educated. I'm not saying other products are for everybody, but let's be honest, this is ridiculous. You're getting 1% on 250,000. I see people getting 1% on 500,000. It just doesn't make sense. It's just where would you accept that from anywhere than your bank?
Yeah.
Where would you accept? I mean, if your stockbroker gave you 1%, would you endorse that?
And maybe part of it is just that, well, we don't understand. It's we put way too much trust in people. Yeah, you really have to embrace, look, this is my money. I'm going to take care of this money, and I'm going to go talk to somebody who can help me out with this. And they certainly they certainly can. So again, it gets back to what we started with. If you're within 10 years of retirement, you really need to take a look at this. And Angela, especially now, you really need to buckle down and take a look at where your money's at.
You do, and it's your money, so why not find all your options?
Yeah.
Why just be satisfied and let it sit when there are other options, and you might love that other option?
Yeah, and even in your 401k, Jay, I know we don't talk a whole lot about 401ks, but wouldn't it be a good idea to maybe just kind of glance at it to see where your money is and what it's doing right now? And could you make or have someone make some adjustments for you? I mean, I don't want to mess with that stuff myself.
The one thing I hear a lot, Jeffrey, is people will say to me, I have a guy, or Jay, you're my guy. And I always say, you've spent 30 to 40 years doing what you do. You've either clocked in, or you've borrowed money and taken chances to build a business, or you've gone to this employer and you sacrificed family time. You've done 30 to 40 years. Why would you not want to entertain 3 or 4 people and their views? Mm-hmm. And you really don't. I mean, I encourage people, have a couple of us, because one of us is probably going to be an expertise in, say, investments. One is going to be an expert in, say, banking. One might be an expert in insurance. But what people tend to do is they say, well, I've got a guy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I don't know why you wouldn't entertain after spending that many years, one guy.
Toiling.
Even if it's me, I tell people, I mean, I'm not going to do everything for you. I will send you on to this investment rep. I will send you on to this attorney. I will send you on to this accountant.
Yeah.
Go. Get the information. You know, it's funny, Jeffrey, they will research going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming for the summer more than they will research or entertain the thought of talking about retirement planning.
Yeah.
And that to me is just, that's not real wisdom.
But it just comes back to a comfort level. We don't understand this. It's nobody wants to talk to the insurance guy, but they know they need to talk to the insurance guy, and it's just too confusing. So we just kind of set it aside and we plug our ears and go, oh, and hope this turns out okay.
Yeah, I mean, even this week I had a lady come in and she said I've met with her about 4 or 5 times, never sold her anything, and she come in, the first thing she does is apologize. I'm taking more of your time, so I'll be brief. But basically what it boiled down to is, Jeffrey, she had 2 real estate assets and nothing else. Nice pieces of real estate, 2 nice houses.
Yeah.
Not enough money to buy long-term care, okay?
Boy.
But not poor enough to just go on Medicaid.
Yep.
So I said, do you have an attorney? No. I said, you're 70 years old, don't have an attorney. I said, let's call one of mine. See if they can help you. Just because what she wanted to do was get out of her to her children some things. And I don't do that. But I can tell you conceptually, here's a concept, here's a thought, here's someone who can help you. It's not always about us selling them anything. It's just talk about what you want. In the end, what do you want? And I'm going to put you in line with people who are experts in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you really, really, really need to do here. Get everything out, glance, and again, communicate. We go back to the original theme too here is the planning, and make sure you're communicating with your spouse. And, especially guys, I think, do most guys just assume that we're going to be the first to go?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. And so you want to make darn sure that she understands it. Quite frankly, I think my wife, she probably knows where more of the money is than I do. And so I feel a little bit more comfortable in that if I go, she's going to be able to handle things just fine. Probably better than if she would go first. But.
So your wife hides the money as well as mine.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder where they're hiding it.
I could be a gajillionaire and not know it. Wait till he dies. Yeah, I'll take care of it. But it's just it's kind of a guy thing, and gentlemen, that probably is even more of a reason to make sure that you have communicated well. And I think we've talked about this in past shows too, you guys, is leave behind notes, journal for your kids. If we've already had that first death, and now you're left, the kids have to know what's going on and where everything is.
What we always attempt to do with their approval is when you purchase a product from us, we say, do you mind if we send your kids a physical letter with our business card? That pretty much takes care of.
Yeah. So they know somebody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because when you go through that tumultuous situation where you have to bury a parent, or maybe the second parent, and mom and dad are now both gone and the kids are left, that's enough to deal with in the first place. And then they have to deal with what's left, the house and where things are, where the money is. So do that. Communicate. And that's what we talk about every month here on Your Retirement with Insurance 365. You can find them online, Insurance Agency 365. And you can also find them on South 13th Street, 711 South 13th. It says Insurance 365 right on the side of the building, right, Jay?
The building, and then Angela has the billboards.
And we haven't talked about that yet. Angela is a new billboard star, so watch for her. If you don't know what she looks like and you'd like to know, she's on billboards all over the place here. Just about every direction you enter Norfolk, you're going to see Angela on a billboard, right?
Right.
So give her a call and start talking about these things that we talk about, too. That is Your Retirement with Insurance 365 for the month of March. We'll be back again on the third Saturday of each month here on News Talk WJG. You guys have a great day.